What is up? Will here with Rennthusiast, my YouTube channel about Porsche ownership, and in this video I'm going to be giving you a longer term review of this 992 Carrera T. I have owned this Carrera T for about 5 months now, and it's got 3,125 miles on it. This video is a follow-on to a short-term review video I did on the car. I shot that video after owning it about a month and after putting like 800 miles on it. In this video, I'm going to take you through what I've learned about the car. I've gotten it through break-in now. I'm going to share with you like what I still think is great about the car, because I was really stoked about it during the short-term review video. But I'm also going to tell you why I think it misses the mark on being a driver-focused 911. And you know, I'm going to share with you at the end why I'm selling the car. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe for Porsche content. Let's now jump over really quickly. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the Carrera T in case you're not familiar with the trim level. All right, let us get underway. As I said to you, I'm going to start with the positives of this Carrera T. I mean, needless to say, for anywhere from $125,000 up to $150K plus, there are certainly some very cool positives about this car. You know, the platform is cool. The 992 is the latest and greatest version of the 911. Something that's great about the Carrera T, and this does jive with what all the YouTubers and the automotive journalists are saying about the car, is that you can wring it out on public roads without, you know, getting yourself into too much trouble or being irresponsible. A lot of the criticism of the Carrera T is that it has the base Carrera motor in it, and you know what that means is it's the 3-liter flat 6 that you find in the Carrera S and the GTS, but it is tuned down, or at least not tuned up, and it has the smallest turbos on it. And so you know, the car is not as fast as others out there. I owned a 991.2 Carrera S, and that car for sure was faster than this car. But in my view, on the positive side, you know, with this motor being what it is, you can have fun in it. I don't really love this term, but you can hoon it up a little bit on public roads, and you don't feel like you're going to go to jail as a result of it. So I think in that sense, like, this motor is definitely more than adequate for public roads and spirited driving. Even though I can criticize the car for what it does and doesn't deliver, something that's great about it is that indeed I was able to build it just for me. Along those lines, I'm very, very happy with all the options I put on the car, with the exception of one that I'm going to get into in the bad section. But if you're interested in seeing what that speccing process looked like, I'll put a card up to that video where I talk you guys through the configurator and I show you what I selected and why. Along those lines, something else that I do think is killer about this particular Carrera T is this shark blue exterior color. I have always wanted something that is very bold exterior color, and so when I built this car, I chose shark blue. The shark blue brings me a lot of joy every time I look at it. I think the fit and finish of this car is definitely very good. That's something else that I've enjoyed about the car, is when I climb into it, I'm able to really take in really pretty, you know, well done interior. The gear knob looks good. You know, it looks the part. If you look at some previous generations of 911, they don't really, like, when you get into them, like, sure, it's nice, but it doesn't feel next level. Like, the dashboard doesn't feel like it's in line with the kind of money that you're having to spend on it, that kind of thing. And so I've really enjoyed that about the Carrera T. Something else that I've found to be pretty positive about the 992 generation in general is this screen that you have, the way the dash sets up, the piano black finish. It just all looks very, very modern. The digital gauges here, with the exception of the tach, it all feels very modern. It feels in line with a $125,000 plus car. And so I would say that if you are looking for a more modern feel, a more modern experience, this would be the right thing for you. So what is the what is the first thing that I find kind of disappointing or just not as fun about the Carrera T? And it's not just about the T, it's about the 992 platform. This will be no surprise to you guys. It is the size of the car. Like, over the years, they've just continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, I owned a previous generation 911 that I sold in order to get into this one, and yeah, it was bigger, but it just wasn't as big as this one. This thing feels like, it feels like a sedan with 911-ish tendencies. It just doesn't feel like a true blue 911, and a lot of that I think is because of the size. Now, my use case was as a daily driver, and so it's fine for that, but I do think the size detracts from this notion of this being a driver-focused 911. It just kind of flies in the face of what, in my view, a driver-focused 911 should be. That's the first kind of criticism I would have of this car that they don't really talk about too much online, is that it's too big, in my view. The next thing is really bothering me about this car, and if you guys have been following along, you're gonna be probably saying the usual, like, well, you're conflicting with information that you said before. And I would say you're probably right. So here's what I don't like about this car. It's the rear axle steering. Okay, so in my first video, I talked about how cool it is and how precise it makes the car. And I stand by all of that. Like, the feel of rear axle steering is for sure surgical. It reminds me of my GT4, my 981 GT4. It's definitely, it goes exactly where you point it. You need to experience it on a 992 to understand what it's really like. But here's what I've found. It's one of these things, it's almost like sport exhaust. Like, it's awesome when you want it, but it's nice to be able to turn it off. And the thing about rear axle steering in the 992, like, you can't turn it off. And so it just, in a way, it makes it feel a little bit artificial. In a way, it makes it feel a little too good. I miss the front end, the floatiness of a non-RAS car. A true 911, I don't know, if you've driven one, you know what I'm talking about. And so I've come not to like the rear axle steering on the 992. So you'll notice I continue to say 992. I drove yesterday a 991.2 that had rear axle steering, and it was a much, much different feeling. It was almost imperceptible. And if I drove like a non-RAS 991.2 and then I jumped into a rear axle steering 991.2, maybe I'd feel it. But coming out of this very, very noticeable rear axle steering on this 992 jumping into that 991.2, it was like non-existent. So I know that I was super high on rear axle steering in my first video on this car, but like, I don't know, my next 911, I really don't want a rear axle steering car. Next thing that has really kind of bothered me about this car, and I'm a weirdo about things like this, but the seat. So I got the 18-way seats under the assumption that they would be very, very comfortable, next level, and in my case, that's just not really been my experience. Now, I am a little odd about seats. A friend of mine calls me Princess and the Pea. I can feel like if anything's even slightly off, it bothers me. But what I've found is this left bolster kind of digs into the bottom of my thigh. And, it's fine when I'm going around town or maybe on a short rip. But once you get into like 30 minutes, an hour, it starts to bother me. That's no fault of the car. That's just about me and fitting in the car. Honestly, I've found the lightweight carbon buckets in my Spider to be more comfortable than these 18 ways. Next thing that I would highly criticize about this Carrera T, and again, I'm coming out of a 991.2, so I have knowledge of this engine in a different generation, but it's the exhaust note. Like, this car is so much tamer than the previous generation in terms of like the lack of cracks and pops coming out of the exhaust. Like, I acknowledge that this turbo motor can only do so much, but in that 991.2 that I had, I'll give you some footage of the exhaust real quick. in that 991.2, it sounded really good. I miss it a lot. It's a sad day when the exhaust sounds better in the car than it does outside of the car, and that's the experience that I've had with this Carrera T. I looked into an aftermarket exhaust solution for the car that would not void the warranty, and apparently Sol does offer something. It's going to be $4,500 to get it on the car, and I just didn't want to go into this T deeper financially. And so, you know, it was just one of these things where it wasn't worth really going in another $4,500. But it's just a disappointing feature of this car is that the exhaust is, even with the sport exhaust on, it's really, really tame. It doesn't do much for me. So I don't know, man, definitely disappointed. I wish I had heard more commentary about that when I was shopping for this car. Next thing I'll say is the power of the car. So I touched on this earlier on the positive side. It is adequate for on-street driving, but it is really like, and I definitely am a kind of a conflicting guy if you've been watching my channel. It's not super exhilarating. So you can ring it out and it feels fast, but it doesn't feel fast. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I've not been able to articulate that, and I've really given that a lot of thought too, like how to describe that. Like the car is quick enough, but it doesn't feel exhilarating. And so it almost like creates a problem for you where you don't really want to tune it, A, because it will take it out, it'll void the warranty, but B, you feel like it's enough, but then sometimes it's not enough. Like I miss my old Carrera S, my 991.2, because it was fun if you didn't really get deep into the boost, but every now and then if you wanted to get into the boost, it would pin you back to your chair. And so I don't know, I think the car could use more power. Maybe you wouldn't have to call on it all the time, but it wouldn't hurt for it to have more power. All right, the next thing, and this is not something I've publicized anywhere so far, but this car in 5 months has had 2 warranty claims on it. I don't know necessarily if the car has, like, I don't think it has to do with the platform or like a widespread issue, but for whatever reason, when I would drop my driver's window, the rubber sweep on the inside would catch on the glass and flip over, and the window motor would fight, and the door panel would pop off some. Clearly it was not, like I couldn't continue to do that. I cleaned the window. I thought maybe there was something on it. I just couldn't get it to stop, so I had to take the car to the dealership. They had to pull the door apart. They had to order new rubber, and it started working again wonderfully. At that point in time, the passenger window was fine. About, I don't know, a month later, the passenger window started to do it. And so, I mean, you just hate it, man. 150 grand, you're super excited about your car, and next thing you know, a couple of silly things come up that just cost you time. Like, thank God for a warranty. That's part of the reason I bought brand new, but you know, it was still kind of a bummer to have to deal with that. So look, this is a fantastic car. It's been a wonderful opportunity to own this. I mean, for me, like achieving a financial dream in my life of being able to custom order a new Porsche 911 is huge. And I don't want to like understate that. I feel incredibly privileged to own this car. It's been fun. The ordering process, I'm really, really grateful to the dealer, Porsche of Charlottesville, for giving me the opportunity to order this car. But, you know, on the flip side of that, I just don't think it really delivers. This car feels very sterile. It feels numb. It feels muted. And maybe that doesn't bother somebody who gets really stoked about the manual transmission and the lightweight nature of it and the less sound deadening and the limited slip differential. I mean, maybe that's enough for somebody who's been into water-cooled Porsches, for them to consider this to be a driver's 911, but I am an air-cooled Porsche person. I've owned many of those cars. I understand what it feels like to really muscle a 911 through curves, and you know, this car just isn't it. So I'm gonna sell it. In fact, I've already got a deal put together on it. This is my last drive in this car. I will be replacing it, and I will share with you guys in future video here very soon what I'm going to be replacing it with. And I believe that some of you out there will find it to be pretty surprising. So if you're still with me, I appreciate you sticking around. Please subscribe to this channel. Hope to see you next time.